And hello, and welcome back to The Great Ace Attorney. So, this is just a week later, and honestly, that's the sort of schedule I've been typically doing for stuff. But, FYI, I might be coughing more than normal. You remember how I said last week my voice wasn't feeling great? Well, it turns out the nasal stuff that resulted in that partially was the very early symptoms of COVID. Yes, I ended up getting COVID this last week. At least one day there was really like a bad flu. But I've been getting much better, and the fact that I'm recording this at all means that I have felt much better, and that's not something to worry about. But it happened. It does feel like it's inevitable that you'll get it in some capacity. Just a matter of how many precautions you've taken in order to make sure it doesn't get as bad as it can. So I was out for a day and then spent time recovering, but outside of that, could have been much worse. So, I think we all want to move on from that. I especially do after this last week. Okay. So we wanted to go to the other... I guess we're going outside first. What was that shit in the corner? So I guess the one thing I will note is that the one thing I've had trouble with is I haven't had a voice that will hold out as long talking for extended periods of time. So I might get into needing to cough and stuff like that just from trying to talk and whatnot. So that might happen more often than normal. So, ooh, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama is being sent on this study tour by the government. It's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. I'd ask to see your room, but that feels like it would be rude in its own right. Really? That must have been awful. Hey, buddy. Oh, look over there. There's another crewman keeping watch. He looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. Or the other way around. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Now, Hoda-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought that you'd be used to the ship by now. You've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Yeah, I haven't left the room though, have I? Well, yes, I know. The thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. Okay, right into it. How'd I play the game again? Just definitely want to search this place, and this is the thing that drew my attention first. Ah, trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Chalk, but it's yellow. Let me see. Ah, yes, I think this is what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Do you guys not know what cheese is? Cheese is fantastic. Well, mozzarella is at least, but cheese is fantastic. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. Don't take it off the trap. You can't eat it now, Hoda-san. The trap will snatch shut on your fingers, and there's a decent chance they put poison on the food just in case. Really? But... well, I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Oh, thank you. You've been so nice to me relative to all this. Also, what, that has to be relevant. There's no way that isn't relevant. Do these not have... So are those bars on the outside, or are those just like little, like nubs, like bumps coming off, like in the two like middle stripes? I'm trying to think, like, how would you open this? Would you have to push it open? Not our cabin, it's Kazuma-sama's. Well, I think by way of just pure occupancy for 2 weeks, it is our between us two. Sorry. Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. Oh, fine, then. Let me put my name on it. Register it with the government. That'll be my house. Good old comfy wardrobe. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? Small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My old cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. Do these have numbers? 500 and... How many cabins are there? That's a good question. How big are these ships? I know cruise ships aren't the newest thing, but... Based on the engine running, etc., etc., etc. What sort of engines would it... Would this still have been a time when, like, steam was... It could have been coal and other stuff. I'm trying to think, like, okay, so... 1800s. They would have had to have big enough metal boats is really what I'm thinking here. Because this is obviously a metal boat, not a... Given that it has an engine. Versus, like, one of those classic wooden boats and whatnot, right? I'm not a boat expert. But, I have no idea how big they would have gotten. Some sort of alarm. I think it's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? Pleasing shape? I suppose it does sort of look like a boob, doesn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells for ringing all over the ship, like a fire, and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh. That feels like a bad idea. That feels like a bad idea to... Maybe I just don't trust people, but to put a bring the entire vessel to a stop button as part of the emergency stuff. Like, making it so that it rings and it notifies people, like, yeah, maybe you should shut off so someone else can make that decision. That I would get. That, though. Oh, besides, what are you doing now, Hodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. Well, it's an emergency for you. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Yeah, that would seem like you're trying to sabotage everything. I wish everything would just stop, the ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Ooh. Okay, I'll think about it. See if I can think of anything that I could do that would be foolish and wouldn't affect anyone else. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Speckled band, probably the tiara, probably going to find... Oh... So, I mean, at this point it seems most likely that this person that HERLOCK decided to decide we were is in fact the perpetrator. But it isn't us, but it's someone else that's maybe hiding in that room. Or maybe hiding somewhere else. Oh, excuse me, we, need to get inside the cabin here. Sailor's eyes speaks volumes, and they're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. Did Sholmes get in there? We could go through the ventilator. That's a problem. I am a small wee boy, ain't I? Looks like a plan of the SSS Burya. It shows each deck. Look. The Burya is a large-scale steamship. Yes, it is steam! It's... just based on the engine sound, it felt like a steam thing, but... I don't know. I don't know what would define a steam-sounding engine, but something about it makes it feel like that. Maybe I'm filling in the blanks with what I want to be true. With a triple-skinned hull, what a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruto-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan, they're not floating. FYI, they're not floating. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth. Many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily in the sea since the gods created them. They're not floating. Well, I suppose so. Oh, that actually is innately charming about this game. Setting it so far in the past where people, like, did not have the common sense of nowadays. That's a huge book on top of the table there. And there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a look through it? The writing's so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage is meticulously recorded. In Japanese or in Russian? You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such a beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. Thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruto-san. Even to a sailor. Manly, strong man, then. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there's nothing to report. Huh. This feels significant. The fact that this comes out here. And it goes into these. We've seen that. I assume that's a way of communicating inward, right? Reverberates through and all that sort of fun stuff. Wait a second, class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it. Just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. Yes, make a run for it. Where? You do know, Ryunosuke. Things do sink. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door. See, okay, so that's... Yeah, you'd probably go after me. That's part of the charming element of it, too. Is that while we clearly know better nowadays, just like basic knowledge of like how continents work and stuff like that, they're not floating and stuff like that, it's interesting because there's so many things now and in the past, which we've replaced for quite a bit of the ones in the past, which are so heavily based on just like the human nature element of trying to force something to have a complete story, even if you don't have all the information, right? I mean, that's something that is, and probably the most innately classic example of that. And I'm not, this isn't meant as an insult to anyone who's religious or anything, as I'm not, and I'm speaking from that perspective. But in my view, religion very much, in most cases, is people taking an incomplete story with no real knowledge of what death and life and all that sort of stuff is at a more fundamental level in trying to give it meaning, trying to give a complete answer, because what I think people are the most afraid of is the unknown. To not know is the scariest thing, because if you don't know, how would you ever be able to make a decision and feel as though you made a right decision, right? So people have a tendency, and religion is the big one, like the big obvious example to me, because like we don't know what happens after death, right? That sort of thing. I think there's and you could argue if there's etc, 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 religion and whatnot, but in my view it's a good example of there being this big gap in our knowledge and people trying to fill in the blanks when we just don't have that knowledge. Like, in my opinion, it's like really like the religion, if you are religious, your religion could be right. Chances are not, but it could be. We have this big blank, and I'm not going to proclaim what it is. Only that we don't know, and the fact that we don't know means we should search for it, right? And this has become way too much about religion. So back to the main point of the matter is that I think people are afraid of the unknown and not having those blanks and whatnot. And the thing that's innately charming about seeing this sort of like olden concept, seeing that same sort of mentality play out, where it's like, you don't understand how continents work, right? But you want to understand that. And it's just like, oh, this thing vaguely makes sense. Sort of, kind of. It must be true. It's consistent with the little information I have. So I will take these assumptions and just assume they're fact. In that the continent is floating. Because we know continents don't really work like that. Islands aren't really floating things. They're, you know, tectonic plates. All that sort of fun stuff. Going brrr and brrr and brrr, and volcanoes being like brrr, and you know, that was a good scientific way of explaining it, right? But yeah, that's the charming thing, just to see that sort of innate thing that you see in human nature nowadays play out in a very antiquated way, where it's like, yeah, that's completely wrong, but it's like so innately human. It's very charming to see, is my point, ultimately. The moment you try to open the door, the burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Does he have a gun? I don't see a gun. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Cosima's death remains a mystery anyways. Just a thought. It's fine. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Oh, good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid. Oh, okay. Oh, is she considering herself like on the level of a murderer now? We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, says Addison. He didn't say no, though, I will know. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. Debatable. It says sailor. I am senior crewman, Biff Stroganov. Okay. Whew. The best thing is just avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganov, about the first-class cabin area. Did we get a name? For, Vielen Bolshevik. And... I don't think they gave a name for her. Okay. About the first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest spot aboard our steamship. The very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I am always scouting this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean. But Stroganov is not an animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asaki's currently occupied? I'm not even gonna pretend I know how to pronounce that. Yeah, maybe? Susap-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. Oh, yeah, I got it wrong. Great. I think it's probably Russian for yes. Or no, perhaps. Or maybe it's one of those words yes and no, but it depends on the context of how they use it. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounded like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asaki's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman. Okay, interesting. Not Russian. Or it's fake. A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How would you know that? How can you be so sure of that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Okay, maybe it's in the passenger or in the first class cabin log thing. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first class cabins, he must be a rather important person, is that right? That is not your business. Fantastic. Okay. So, my guess is that it is the Russian revolutionary and they're just trying to shepherd him under a false name and they're afraid of him getting found out as said Russian revolutionary because he's probably, you know, wanted and stuff like that. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganov? Da, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in, or get out. I wonder, can you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Hat? Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no. Maybe. I saw nothing unusual, nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no! No, you said something else, in Russian. Debatably. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Yeah, very unsubtle. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh, it's time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead to second class area, staying locked at all times. You escape when lobster whistles on top of mountain. Or, as English say, when the pigs fly. I've never heard of the lobster thing before. Yes, I understand. The lobster whistles on the top of a mountain. Interesting. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Fantastic. Is there anything actually new to check? Oh, there is. This is no longer checked. The table here really is huge. The pen with it too. Yes, I'm sure that's ship's law. Okay. The writing's so neat, etc., etc. Or maybe it's different because we don't have him to mention about anymore. Look here, last night's log's mostly blank. Okay, yeah, I think this is... Yeah, that's the same. We just removed the discussion about the guy. Oh, we don't have any changes to the cheese? Oh, dare we? Oh, okay. Do I still need to try to get in? This is it. This is the cabin next to Oz. The one the ventilator connects to. I assume Sholmes is just in there at this point. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Knock, knock. No answer. Lots of luck, it seems. There's no one in there without inquiries. Enquiries? Not inquiry? Oh, whatever. How annoying. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Oh, I'm about to break down the door. Can you? I mean, you don't look overly strong to break a metal... Okay. Mr. Sholmes? Oh, I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off the hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Oh, even easier to break in then. Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? No, not Ryunosuke, not Ryunosuke. I think we should just go in. There's no time to think about the stress relief. That's subtle. That's super subtle. That's super subtle. Okay. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. Why do you have scissors? True. This old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Don't tell me he killed someone. Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are... I am the one and only, the actual HERLOCK Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I am a great detective among detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. Oh, I assure you, you may trust me completely. This man uses that magazine like a business card. He does. I wonder how much of it actually is his ego, or if he really is just trying to leverage it in order to get him access quicker and trust quicker. He's gonna end up being a killer. My goodness, if he ends up being a killer at some point, a detective. I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might it be as bold to ask you to open that small traveling case, but there's another bigger bag in the corner. What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh my, did you see that? Mr. Nahoda? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now. Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Cosmo's neighbor. Mr. Grimesby Roylott. Okay, if there's someone who's being maybe a little murdered, we should definitely fucking open the trunk. I couldn't agree more. See if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Open the damn trunk. Open the damn trunk. Open the damn trunk. Now, if someone's fucking suffocating in there, what is he doing just sitting on the fucking wardrobe? What do you think you're doing? Ah! This is my cabin. Get out! Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No! Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree. There may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. I suppose. And hello, back. I might as well just talk to him first, honestly. If he's gonna unlock stuff... Yeah, sorry, I had a thing I had to go take care of quickly. So yeah, back. I might as well talk to him first, because if he has things he's gonna unlock, then... do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why? I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Are you trying to get in the head of the murderer? Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Oh, he does have something I didn't know something in his, pocket. I didn't look at the floor either. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what the most effective weapon is to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively used for the Russians. Really? You could have got me there. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret guard so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. If he says he's from Afghanistan. Or he's used in Afghanistan recently. For I'm about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the great case that we are greatly about to grate. I'm gonna grate you. No. That reminded me of a Whitest Kids You Know sketch for some reason. If you've ever seen them and know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It involves grapes. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? That just feels sort of racist. I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. That's fair. There is 100% an element to trying to come to conclusions that if you start trying to develop a train of thought on what makes sense, you can easily lead your mind down a rabbit hole of the solution should be something like this, because logically it made sense to you maybe with the first set of evidence, and you become blinded to the other options. So if we want to take that approach here, we could say the really obvious thing is like, this guy's Russian, right? This guy's probably that guy from the article. And then what would the opposite of that be? He's not a Russian. He's just dressed up like he's a Russian. And then you'd have to ask, but why would you do that? Why would you dress up like you are the person that people are after? Why would you do that? And then the answer to that, the first thing that comes to mind, I know I'm speculating before I have all the evidence. The answer to that, the first thing that comes to mind, might be something along the lines of, you would be capable of having, maybe potentially recruiting co-conspirators to your cause of whatever you're trying to do here, maybe Kiyosaki or something, whatever you're trying to do here, by pretending that you're this noble Russian revolutionary. Yeah? Shh, I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. But what do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. The beard. Are you not? Huh? Okay, so if he has the scissors in order to try to remove himself from... like, cut the beard or something, why would he do that? We've been on the sea for 2 weeks. If he wanted to just avoid his identity potentially getting out, he would have done that immediately, or before getting on the boat. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. Was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle! Oh, yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of HERLOCK Sholmes. And I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. Oh, this is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but... all the color has drained from Mr. Roylott's face. The neat thing about Sherlock in this is that he's so very, 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 very seemingly incompetent, but his methods do sort of work, right? So it's hard to tell if he's doing it on purpose in order to, like, say, knock this guy off guard, even though it's, like, not that big of a deal of what he said. But it is playing it up like it is a big deal, which can knock him off guard and whatnot. Or if he really does believe that that's some, like, big notable thing, and he just takes advantage of it anyways. I'm so curious what direction they'll go with it. Is he actually competent, and he's, like, doing this shit on purpose? Or is he sort of incompetent and fucks his way into just all sorts of, you know, positive situations? It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? They were super vague. They were basically saying that you're bad and you're doing something bad. That's legitimately all they were. How could I possibly know such things you wish to say? Very well then, I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I do cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let's board the train of reasoning. Or the boat of reasoning. We are on a boat. Put plainly, let's work through my deductions together. The game is afoot. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place? You see enormous pair of shears in your hands. Yes, he's clearly hiding stuff. That's not... okay. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you support. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper. In particular, the fascinating front page article. Oh, is this really this morning? Okay, you know, that might be relevant. If that's circulating, that might be why it's now rather than later. That's circulating, he saw and it's like, oh shit, let's get rid of this beard before people think that I'm him. Which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I still think anyone in this sort of situation, like if he was actually the person in the paper, would be like, shit, I'm cutting this off well before. Wouldn't like be walking around with all the identifying features that you can see in like the photos and whatnot. Well, I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Though decidedly different, it is notable that it is notably different in terms of style and everything. Because if we want to look at it, the style of the mustache itself is significantly different. The style of, or probably more notably, the glasses are smaller. The mustache area of the beard is notably different style. The face is decidedly longer. And the nose seems significantly different too. I mean, it could be a matter of the art style from the model to the paper is just different. What is it, basically? I need to see if they're actually doing that between their evidence stuff versus the 3D models before I can conclude that that is like a notable thing in these games. Having noticed the article yourself, you decide to remove your incriminating facial hair before I gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand? Yeah, that's all about like what I figured when I saw him too in the newspaper. As soon as I saw that newspaper, I came to a similar conclusion as to a likely scenario. Now, as far as my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of the crime? Over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people may have a propensity to let the eye stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of the young lady in the traveling case? Dear me. We are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup de I have no idea how to pronounce that, betrays you. Once again, we only need to follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Newspaper again. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned Greek ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears in Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. But according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Oh yeah. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, this was fun. Are we done? Thus concludes HERLOCK SHOLMES' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. I hope they do more of that. I assume they will, since they put so much effort into the style and design of that. That was fun. Susato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, stories have all Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions, would you mind? Not at all, go on. So there is a notable... If there's a person inside that trunk, we should focus on opening it. Let's say that. Well, to start with, there's a newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but... These two men look nothing like each other. Yeah, that does seem notable. Ah, yes, I recall a discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. But if he did that, he wouldn't have the beard and the glasses and the style still. If anything, it's so revolutionizing his appearance into something that's vaguely like that. Right? It's funny because all his conclusions are basically like the first thing I came to. Like the first instinct. It is interesting. It is interesting. His great deductions are basically first instincts, right? Is that what it's going to be for him? I'm so interested what way they'll take him in terms of his competency. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. HERLOCK does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing. The parts about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear to be too small to accommodate a young woman. It very well might, considering that the one that I fit in as a relatively small man was like twice the size. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. Well, you think you're going to say that she's a ballerina, so she's super flexible? You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case. Even if you pushed really hard. Trust me, I've tried. What was that? I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. Oh yeah, that's actually younger than I thought she'd be. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain lightness in their bodies. Vinegar? I bit my lip. Oh, this is a day. Oh, I feel like I'm HERLOCK Sholmes at the moment. For such a sour punch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Yes, she's a ballerina, so she's flexible. That is the way he went. Okay. Oh dear. You might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Ballerina's flexible, but you... this whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruto, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' seductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention, his logic that seems a little off. The idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two key words in his seductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. No, it wasn't. Liar. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. It really isn't that funny. Please don't pretend that's funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrist. My wrist? Oh no, that's not good. Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did? I thought they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. You're gonna make him look more guilty. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. You're gonna make him look more guilty if someone sees him without them. And don't worry. I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. Fantastic. Okay, there we go. That solves that problem, actually. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather it stay like this. So, let us begin. HERLOCK Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Okay. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place? Oh, do I need to... Wait. Is this like a trial? No, I can't present. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want for such an implement? Okay, no, what? I'm just gonna wait for it to give me an option to do something. Oh, because he was confused there. Oh, that's notable. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Naruto-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better... Yeah, it's not his beard. Could it be the newspaper itself? And what? Then leave the rest in your capable hands now, Naruto-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Oh, I never got to look at his back. I get it. Oh, I get it. What the? What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden light. It's the girl! Oh my goodness. She's pretending to be the Russian. No, the color is not the point. The point is, what's it doing in the back of Mr. Roylott's head? How's it growing out from underneath his thick black hair? Well, yes, that's true. So stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here. Okay.
Yes!
Oh! You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you support. Oh, sport. I did made that mistake twice. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman, in judging from the length and sheen of your hair. One still very much in her youth. Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair. No one would have suspected, despite the fact that we've been at sea for 2 weeks. You haven't done this yet? The question then begged is this. Why you decide to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity. It's the article about the revolutionary. Okay, it's the article about the ballerina. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise. Did you? What? What are you staring at me like that for? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room, deducing the facts of Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. No, strictly... Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on the next part of Mr. Sholmes' seduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true. Given that Mr. Broylet is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else, then. Something that fits the facts as we understand them now. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about it. Yeah. Ooh. Yep. Yes! Still pressing the wrong button. This is fun. It's really well presented, too. They really got, like, the elements of making this, like, feel right from a pure experience level. They got this down, like, really well. And I can tell that just from this clearly tutorial section, too. I wonder how many of these will do. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. Especially since we heard about what seemed to be the tiara before. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novich Ballerina Primus Ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Oh, I hope it didn't... Oh, okay. It just went into the head. Yeah. It's like, I hope it didn't, like, you know, smash down on her neck. Okay. Take off the disguise. Hello. You look nice. You're right. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Okay, so... Oh... Okay, yeah, it's clearly in there, but why would it move? Is it just the other way around? This woman's the ballerina. She's right in front of her eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. Seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime the young woman apparently is committing? I can see I'm going to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. Seem to look pleased now, Hoda-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. So we want to replace the traveling case, which implies that it's not the traveling case, yeah? Oh, it's just sitting there! Oh my goodness, did I just miss that before? Oh my goodness. Why did the traveling case move? Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh no, Hoda-san, try it on. What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Would you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. It fits no rose. Why does tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently.
Yes!
That's subtle. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed. It would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in the newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it is an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crimes you have committed is theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully taking that precious tiara with you. I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. Interesting. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. So is she trying to claim that it's unrelated to the ballet? By saying it's a present? Or is she trying to say that as part of her time in the ballet, she was given it? The ballet claims ownership, but she considers it hers. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There's no point in hiding it now. Come, let's not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. Yeah, I'm still confused about that because it moved! Is she not actually alone? Oh, a 5-year-old girl could fit in with. Oh, does she have a younger sister? It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish to remain closed. Was she planning to go along with us in order to try to protect her and keep her out of whatever was going to happen? Is that not so, Mrs. Pavlova? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless, cute words betray you. Once again, we'll need to follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case. Reading the books on the shelf? He's completely changed tack with the deduction now. I think it might be another stowaway situation. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem like that would be the reason why this young woman doesn't want her to open her case. It doesn't feel like that would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true. But still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Must be another reason why she won't open her case, and it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's why her gaze is so involuntarily drawn. The answer... There she is, hidden inside the case. Should be revealed by following your gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Okay, how wide are we gonna... So it could be the picture. Depends what's in the picture. Rules of passage. No pets? Is it just straight... Oh, it's just gonna be straight up a pet. Okay. I was thinking he was like a little sister. Yeah. Yep. Other Jane. Yeah, it's the pet thing. It's the pet thing from before. So I assume she has like a little dog or something that's in there that she's hiding. Who's surprisingly well behaved. You think that a little dog being shut up inside a, you know, traveling case would be yelping all the way, right?
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on the vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. There it is. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time. No weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage? A pet. This really is fun. Can we open the case before maybe it suffocates? That would be very nice. Elementary, my dear Ryunosuke. Elementary. That really is fun. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. Sorry, back. No, I am not Grimesby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Beria is a huge steam set with a vast crew. Is no one supposed to be in this technically? Are they actually like checking who should be in the rooms? Maybe the Russian sailors are so antsy about it because they're trying to protect her. They saw her and like, yeah, we get you. We'll try to help you get to safety or something like that. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? Well, I was able to. But by herself? Yeah. Is there someone who could have helped her? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. There's also the possibility that she was like pretending to be the revolutionary and they were all like, yeah, okay. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet, to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell. Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. Or like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disguise myself so that no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man. I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard? Then, just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on that page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So if the tiara was in the ventilator... I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? Yeah, let's let the poor thing out. You're right, it is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew... Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yeah, I very much doubt she's the killer. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Oh, I wonder... Is there the possibility that someone tried to poison Kazuma on the basis of thinking... So let's take one train of thought that I've had. The idea that, no, we were just saying that she just recently tried to disguise herself, like, today? Okay, so if we remove that idea from the fact, I think the sailors definitely have noticed her at this point. Either they're pretending not to notice her, or she's aware that they have noticed her and they're working together in some capacity to keep her safe. But either way, they'd be keeping her safe, right? They'd be trying to actively make those decisions in order to not have people around. So maybe Kazuma said something or noticed something that made one of the sailors be like, oh, she's going to be in trouble. So they decided, oh, I'm just going to, poison him, maybe. Maybe, possibly. Something like that. It's because he's the only other one in this area, right? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrist. Oh, I needed to have the handcuffs off to do the animations. Your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I restored your shackles. When and why? A still shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say. It can't be helped at the moment. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Sama wrote about in his diary really was. I mean, the tiara seems like the very obvious one, right? Oh, what is this even? Nothing? Let's see. Don't touch. Huh? Is that her actual traveling stuff? Please. You must not touch my things. How do you say, forbid it? Oh, sorry. As you well should be, young man. What vulgar manners you have. Going around in a young lady's private belongings. Neither shall I allow it. Ah, hypocrite. Interesting. Okay, does everything have that? Because I don't think the ventilators are fucking private belonging. So we're not allowed to actually do anything around here. Okay, understood. I'm just gonna double check real quick. So, observations that I'm making immediately after this. So we have an interesting situation. This is just a decoration of the room, so that's good to know. So the books clearly have been tossed over, right? Similar to Kazuma's room, right? So that does imply that whatever happened shook and knocked things over. It happened across the board. It wasn't exclusive to the room. But, interestingly, this is perfectly fine. So either one of two situations happened with regards to that, right? Either it did happen to the table and she fixed it, you know, just over the course of the day and whatnot, because that is perfectly feasible. Or it implies that whatever happened with Kazuma's table and everything on it had to do with something actually physically happening, an actual sign of distress and struggle, rather than the books, which aren't a sign of struggle and whatnot, right? So that would be interesting. For now, I am probably going to call that an episode. I'm trying to record this weekly, at least until I get the end of this, and then maybe take a break and probably come back to it. Especially since there's 2 games in one for this. I think this is just going to be a background thing that I do until I complete it both, where I just sort of focus on doing one, take a break, come back to it, focus on doing another, take a break, come back to it, and just do that until I'm done with both games, basically. I think that's probably going to be it, because I quite enjoy this. This is fun. This is a really good game. There are elements of the original game, the original series, that it feels like they've stripped away a lot of the annoying elements of it, while also adding some really interesting stuff. Because the most fun elements of the games have always been the very logic-based deduction puzzles and stuff like the great deduction course correction thing that they had before. That whole thing, that was just fun. Between the presentation and everything, they really were able to hype that up and make it just a fun way to do these sorts of relatively simple, because it was I think it was really more of a tutorial to the concept. Relatively simple way of it, but it's fun because they put so much effort into the experience of going through the process, right? Of making it snappy, the spotlights, the snaps, and the transitions. That might be one of the most well-formed mini games, as you might call it, in terms of the logical mini games, puzzles, and whatnot, that I've ever seen in the series. Just period. That was fantastic. It was probably on par with just going through a court case, probably. So, yeah. So, I'll leave it there for today, and I'll see y'all next time. Drive safely, everyone.